It's very culty. If you ask me, like, hey, Scott, design a culty icon. this would be it. Like, it's got to be something you can draw, and it's also got to have like an eyeball in it. Like, if I'm doing a cult, I got to have an eyeball involved.
It's tradition.
Hello and welcome to Is That Some Kind of Japanimation Thing? A show that remembers when you could buy anime DVDs on Amazon as opposed to just watching a handful of streamable shows that somehow got international exclusive rights. Wotakoi on Amazon Prime. It's pretty good. I like that one. I don't. There's one this season on Prime that I will watch eventually, but it's never mind that. Never mind that. My name is Scott.
And I am Justin.
And we are here to continue our the back half of Season 1, in which we are reviewing Trigun Stampede, the 2023 CG anime that is based on the same manga as Trigun, the 1998 Cell anime. There we go.
It's like poetry, it rhymes.
It's like poetry. Rhymes. This episode is brought to you by the Kyoto Sweets Box, which is a crate that you can subscribe to, or you could get one, just one, but you can subscribe. And in it is a number of Japanese snacks. Notably, it includes, very importantly, Kit Kats. It includes the Kit Kat.
If this were a video show, Scott, you would be replacing my face with the deep breathing fat cat meme, because that is how I feel right now. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yep. So again, in addition to the Kit Kats with the interesting flavors, they also offer one-off confectionaries, including seasonal flavors of Haichu. That's like the Starburst, but better. They're Starburst, but better. Don't confuse them with Chew High, which is seltzer and soju.
Right.
Which also tasty, but I don't think they can ship those across borders.
Do they? It's okay.
Because it's booze.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah, it's Suntory really missed the boat on hard seltzers by not just bringing out Strong Zero Orange in the entire planet, because they would have just wrecked the hell out of White Claw. It's a better product, people. Anyway, the link is in the description. 15 different types of sweets. There's a cultural guidebook. Some of them are like high quality handmade traditional stuff, but a lot of it is just packaged stuff that you might have trouble finding at your local grocery store. Anyway, we are going to get into our review. We are starting with an episode called Hungry. It's called Hungry. Mm-hmm. We just talked about food.
Yeah. Good segue, Scott.
That's what happened there. This one is directed by Naomichi Yamato, who was the director of the the space battleship Yamato 3199 movie, which is part of the ongoing reboots of Space Battleship Yamato. He also did episodes, boards, openings, and endings on Fairy Tail, among other things. But this episode opens with some goons, some weirdos, eating some worms.
Yeah.
And they are just enjoying their worm, imagining what it would be like to, I don't know, eat a tomato or some other food. They literally, I think the subtitles say, I would love a plant-based meal at some point.
I just hope these guys are getting some sorts of fiber, because, oh my God.
I mean,
they're going to end up like Jordan Peterson if they're not lucky.
I mean, yeah. But before they can finish their roasty toasted worm meal, they see a man with a cross. They see a heck of a well-prepared dead guy wandering the desert.
Wolfwood's survival abilities remain the peak of the human form. That guy would starve to death in a shopping mall, I swear to God.
I don't think he's ever had a good time. I don't think we've ever seen him wander into a scene in a good space.
I don't think I've seen anyone refer to it as a tombstone before, but that just fits perfectly, because this guy is gonna
carrying his own grave.
Yeah.
We get the opening credits, and we find out the cops are now pursuing Meryl and Roberto as accessories to Vash crimes. Vash's crime being destroying a town. Whole town got destroyed now.
Being around a town that got destroyed, so they just blame him. I am enjoying. I noticed as we got into this next batch that the radio just sets up everything. There's like, we have half an hour to tell a story, and the radio is going to just boom, get us started. Fire the starting gun. Fire the starting gun.
Absolutely. We have half an hour. We're only getting 13 episodes this season. We got to get going. Radio Man's doing all the heavy lifting. It's entirely appropriate every time. We never hear about things. We never hear DJ patter. We never talk about like take your dog to work day or Toronto.
The July City Parade.
Yeah, no, it's all just like today on Exposition Radio. We're going to talk about how it hasn't been windy in 400 days in this one spot. Anyway, we then learned something very important about driver responsibility and pedestrian safety, because when you are crossing the desert, it is your duty to make eye contact with drivers so that they don't run you over.
Roberto just sucks, man. I don't like this guy. Every time I write his name down in my notes, I put an angry face emoji right next to it. Boo, Roberto. Where's my Millie?
I assumed you wrote your little frowny face inside the O.
Oh, well, that would actually be much more. Thank you. You just saved me a character.
Justin types his notes. I handwrite mine. That's the difference.
Yes. You've seen my handwriting. It would not be legible.
We then, so they run over Nick. They're like, oh man, this guy's in trouble. We should, this guy has a spinal injury. We should move him. Don't pick up anybody who has a spinal injury. You treat them on the scene. Guys, if you move them, they will get worse.
As someone who went to journalism school, there was not a lot of first aid involved.
Really? That I
think it.
I still write my first aid certification on my resume. I took it 20 years ago. This was when you still 20 years ago. You still had to breathe into the guy as part of CPR.
Yeah, you didn't get
I should update that.
Yeah,
I should update that. Anyway, Vash. We should also note that Vash is not eating at this point. He is not eating out of guilt. But we then drive to a gas station, and everyone in the gas station is dead, except a kid. Just some kid.
Except a kid. Yep, just some kid who I assume is a member of the family in the gas station. Otherwise, why would he be there?
Well, it's weird for a kid to just be hiding in a gas station, unrelated to all the dead bodies in a gas station.
Yes,
this is not a post-apocalyptic scenario where people would do things that are weird.
Yes.
Anyway, Nick proceeds to bury the gas station attendants and give bad last rites. Bad last rites. He is not good at
more detailed notes.
He's not a good priest.
Every funeral I have ever been involved with went better than this. That's all I'm going to say. So thank you to every priest of whatever tradition. You're better than this douche.
And then before anyone can sing Amazing Grace, Nick sticks everyone with the bill.
Yeah. It's an optimistic bill.
It's 20,000 space bucks, and I'm like, that seems high. I mean, the funeral industry is, of course, entirely usurious.
Yes.
You should just roll your be kind to your family and insist on being rolled into a ditch rather than pay for anything. But after the bad last rites and arguing over invoices, Vash still isn't eating because he does not feel he deserves food. Except Nick is like, no, everyone deserves food and joy. Because Nick's not
actually a bit of a weird inversion of their
weird flip,
their existing character traits.
Weird flip there, because I mean, Nick is sharing lollipops with the kid, which is fun.
Aw.
We also noticed that Nick is no longer injured. That's weird. That might come up in a minute. But before that
He
can
heals
come
fast.
up, before we can come up with that, we got worm sign. We got worms the size which God has never seen.
All right. Well, you wanted to get that out, didn't you? You did. One of
Look,
us had
the
to.
only thing I remember about Dune is Brian Blessed. I have not watched the new ones because I don't think that our boy Jason Momoa can replace Brian Blessed.
I'm not sure. Okay. No, I'm gonna let you go with that. Yeah. That was yes, the kind even God himself. But yeah, this big worm coming their way.
And it eats them. Just eats them.
Yes. Yep.
Kid immediately wanders off because if I was a
Mm.
child who had just watched my parents die, I would just wander into the belly of a worm, I guess.
Yeah,
Makes
you know,
perfect
people
sense.
heal in different ways, Scott. People deal with their trauma, and you have to acknowledge that and let them live that experience.
You know, what is it? It's it's denial, anger, wander off into a worm's gullet, bargaining,
Yes.
acceptance.
Not necessarily in the same order, too. Some people wander into a worm's gullet first thing. I mean,
Presented with no kid, Meryl says we should split up and explore the worm,
mhm,
which leads to Meryl getting got. She gets got.
yeah,
She gets grabbed.
some mysterious person or entity, I will say.
Yeah. So something grabs Meryl. We smash cut. No one's found the kid. Nick is standing in the same spot where he started with way too many cigarette butts. I don't think he searched at all for this kid. I think he just took a smoke break.
Yeah.
They debate the merits of eating bugs because Vash still doesn't want to eat things. Bob is
Now,
starting.
do you think Wolfwood waited at the thing as part of the plan, or is he like the Michael Jordan fuck them kids?
I think,
Uh,
given that the ending, I think it's part of the plan.
okay.
But also, maybe fuck them kids. Maybe, actually, probably not fuck them kids. I think that's the only thing he has genuine empathy for. This will be a plot point in 2 episodes. Foreshadowing is a literary device. Speaking of,
I know writers use foreshadowing. They're all cowards. No, wait.
anyway, Roberto is on to Nick's bullshit at this point, so he also gets got. He gets got. And as part of getting got, Vash and Nick get sneezed out of the worm.
Blowhole.
Blown out of the sandworm. They react to this by jumping back in the sandworm.
Yeah.
Because they're dedicated kid finders, I guess.
I do like how the hunters just pop up again to act as a bit of a Greek chorus.
Yeah, they're just here. They're just here to say useful things.
Yes.
I like these guys. They are good guys. It is now clear that once they are back inside the worm gullet, they find the kid. They become aware that the kid is controlling the worm with ultrasonics.
Get along, gang, right?
Yeah, this is Zazie the Beast. You remember him. Gung Ho Gung.
I was not 100% clear if it was Zazie early enough. So thank you very much for confirming.
So at this point, Nick shoots a hole. We reveal the Cross Punisher in all its new glory, its new CG glory with all its tactical glowy bits.
Mm-hmm.
Nick shoots a hole in the side. Kid gets out by being grabbed by a bunch of bugs.
The most horrifying thing in the world.
Like
Wolfwood's animation was gorgeous. By the way.
No, that is a big damn hero shot. Big damn hero shot.
Ain't he just?
Ain't he just? At this point, we also reveal a new function for the Cross Punisher. We don't get a bazooka now. It's got laser beams.
Oh my god, he just slices the worm in half. That's great.
Just does a big old disco hero move and splits the worm in half with laser beams. And everyone is alive and happy and gathers around for bug barbecue. Everyone
bug
shares
BQ?
their bug BQ. BYOBB. Bring your own bug.
Bring your own bug. Hey, is that an American animation reference?
I think it is. When people start to express their doubts, we are treated to a lovely shot of glowworm borealis at this time of year, at this latitude.
It's okay. Strictly in your kitchen, which is actually the desert.
You can see it. And then we are revealed. We then confirm that Zazie and Nick were in cahoots the entire time. They were in cahoots, and they definitely work for Knives because we're working fast here. We can't have who is this guy? Who is this priest guy? What does he want for 4 episodes in a row this time? We just got to roll, got to jam. And then we get a cut to whatever Knives is doing with a weird dude with a mustache.
And Colonist Pops.
Yep. And Colony Pops. And we also find out that, Vash is not only a being who lives outside time, he might live outside space. He has powers. He has cool powers.
A gate to a higher dimension, I believe someone mentioned, and I wasn't quite sure what they meant by that, but...
Gonna come up. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And then we get the end credits, and I want to register right now that I missed the next episode previews, because in the original, they said what was going to happen, but it was also just a spot where we could vibe. Vash could soliloquize. He could talk about themes. And so we just get a nice piece of art at the end, which is also good.
Yeah, that is nice. Just it's an art from that episode, right? Or is it
this is a new thing in anime, where they will create a custom end card specifically for streaming services. So you're just sitting there saying, and it's often someone on staff, but it can also just be a guest artist, someone who does concept art or manga or something. And they will just be like, oh, here is a scene inspired by this episode. And hey, look at it. It's cool to look at. Save it for your wallpaper on your desktop. Yeah.
Or on your cellular phone.
If you so desire.
Go in landscape.
Well, I have two panels on my phone, so having a wide is good for me because then I get when I switch from useful stuff to fun stuff, I get like the other half of the picture. It's very useful for me. Fair. Other people are, I assume, fully vertical, like cowards.
Don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like that.
All right. Speaking of cowards, let's talk about the next episode. Child of Blessing, directed by Hiroishi Nishikiori, who he's got some big D director credits right now. He was the director of the entirety of Azumanga Daioh, Gadgard, all of the Magical Index shows, which is a lot of shows now. He has a lot of big name credits, but he just popped in to do one episode.
As a favor, or just because he...
Just because he could. Just because he wanted to work with Orange, probably. Because he has not had any CG experience, so this is good for his portfolio. And it means he's worked with new people, which is also very important as a director. Anyway, Azumanga Daioh is delightful, and you can't buy it or stream it anywhere right now, and that's really upsetting.
Can I buy a VHS tape at my local anime con?
I should know, because there are no anime cons that have tapes anymore. They just have Funko Pops. It's all Funko Pops. Why would you go to a con? There's just cosplay guests, people who dress in costume and have a booth as a guest, and Funko Pops. I used to like anime cons, is what I'm saying.
This is a man who has been betrayed. Who has had the world turn against him.
I used to go to these things to enjoy being around other fans, and then I realized that fans were getting loud and obnoxious and needy, and then the stuff you buy isn't even good anymore.
It is,
and that's why I podcast. I am a hateful person who wants nothing with the world, so I have to podcast.
No, Scott, you cannot have my Twitter account. I'm sorry.
That's fine. Well, no one can have a Twitter account pretty soon.
Yeah.
I look, at some point, the Saudi princes that bankroll Elon Musk will call his shit and actually make him pay them back.
I'm sure if he can give them 4 more years of a addled sociopath in the White House who's all in favor of increasing fossil fuel usage, they'll be able to let that slide. But Are we going? This is not conspiracy talk. This is
It's not a
anime talk.
conspiracy if it's three rich guys agreeing to be assholes.
I mean, yes, there is that.
I'm poor. Please buy a subscription box to Candy. Link in the description.
Or buy me a subscription box to the Candy. Good God.
Yeah, you can also support us on Ko-fi. Episodes come early to Ko-fi backers. Otherwise, we should get into this episode because we open on windmills.
Talk about this episode.
Yeah, let's talk about this episode. We open on windmills, who are definitely windmills, Sancho. They're not giants this time.
I ended up as Sancho. Great.
I'm the one yelling about the Funko industry. I am tilting at Funkos. That means you're Sancho Panza.
I mean, I just don't really like the cliche of it all. The little fat guy on the burro. Do you know, have I ever told you what my preferred two-wheeled vehicle would be? A Honda Ruckus. Have you ever seen a Honda Ruckus? They're not a motorcycle. They're a scooter.
No, I've seen the Honda Ruckus. It is a children's toy masquerading as a motor vehicle.
Exactly. Give me my sombrero and let's go chase them Funko Pops, boss.
I should also say that my brain has been addled by reading too much fiction. That's also part of the premise here.
I did not notice until deep into it that, the windmills are crosses. That just, boom. They were not subtle about that. There was strong feelings about religion in this episode.
Yeah, we got some discussions about how what religion does to people. So we open on some windmills that are not spinning on a town that is empty, and we then move to a rug, a tapestry of a weird cross. It's a little southwesty, but it's got an eye in the middle. It's an interesting design. It's very culty. If you ask me, like, hey, Scott, design a culty icon. This would be it. Like it's got to be something you can draw, and it's also got to have like an eyeball in it. Like if I'm doing a cult, I got to have an eyeball involved.
It's tradition.
Yeah, this is about it. And we have a radio preacher. We have a radio preacher. Yo.
Mm-hmm. My first note is one of the crash sites has started a cult. That was the first thing I observed about this episode.
Yep, definitely that. We have the radio preacher is Missionary Michael, working for Priest William. These names will matter real soon. Real soon. This same radio preacher is being heard in the news van, where Roberto is happy to explain, on top of exposition radio, that he's back to being exposition newsman. That, people just worship the plants now. They're based out of July City.
Yeah.
He then says, all right, well, if we're not listening to the radio, let's tell scary stories. So he tells a scary story about this one about how the reason why the sand is so red out here has nothing to do with the copper content of the soil, and everything to do with the fact of some upset man-beast who killed everyone, and now the sand is stained with their blood.
Ooh.
Whoa.
So was this man-beast blonde with a red coat? Is that what they're saying? Could that be the legend?
I'm sure in some towns they tell it as a Vash story.
I did notice there was a can on the dashboard. I couldn't tell if it was filled to overflowing with cigarette butts or pencils.
It is cigarette butts. Butts. The news van does not have an ashtray because it is the future and cars don't have ashtrays. They barely have ashtrays now. You got to get a thing for your cup holder that is an ashtray. Fortunately, cars have so many cup holders now.
I haven't been in a car with a smoker in decades. Not complaining.
Because I did have smokers in the family, I was aware of the collapse of the in-dash ashtray, and yet the continued use of the 12-volt thingamabob. Like the 12-volt cigarette lighter. The 12-volt cigarette lighter stopped being a cigarette lighter, but that hole stayed so you could charge something in it. And now new cars have USBs in them, which leads me to believe that there is a company out there that makes USB little cigarette lighters.
What do you mean? You believe that? That's true. I own those. I have they're double USBs. You put them into the little jack spot.
No, I mean that like the actual cigarette lighter, the thing that is just a
Oh,
resistor coil
a cigarette
that you
lighter that plugs into a USB.
yeah.
That is ingenious.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is I'm saying that somewhere out there is the resistor coil that you just punch in for a minute and then pop out to light your cigarette. There is a USB, like the 1.5 volt power cord that does that. In the same way that you can get like Bluetooth headsets that look like an old phone handset. This is a device that is real. I know it to be real. If it isn't, you'll have to excuse me while I go on Shark Tank.
Just be careful Simu isn't there.
Okay. Anyway, beyond me talking about car accessories, which you can buy on HLJ.com. And we still have an affiliate code with HLJ.com. I am poor. Please buy enough things on HLJ so I can buy a thriving social media site and run it into the ground with Saudi money. Anyway, they see a dead bug on the side of the road and debate whether or not Knives did this. They then realize that the dead bug is near a town with full of windmills and know that the windmills aren't turning.
Yeah.
Because exposition radio told us that the wind has not been blown for a long time.
Wolfwood's a bit of a dick about renewables.
Yeah, Nick comes out as anti-renewable, and he's not even, like, pretending that it's about bird safety. I had a weird conversation on a dying social media site about, like, bird strikes, because I was, my day job makes me painfully aware of how often birds hit windows, which means that, and then some guy who was just like, well, if you go per hectare, windmills kill more birds than Chicago. Chicago kills 1 million birds a migration season. One building in Chicago kills 1 million birds in migration season. But no, per hectare, the windmills. Like, fuck off. Nick just does not appreciate the value of battery storage. So he can also fuck off for being anti-wind power.
Yeah, this is the worst thing he's going to do this episode.
He hasn't, we'll see. Anyway, as they are debating renewable policy and bird safety, we are ambushed as everyone gets shot by high caliber machine guns, and we are introduced to a big guy. A big guy who wants Vash dead.
Is it Monev?
All right. So this character is never called anything but the name Rolo, the name of the small child from the scene at the start. The design's definitely Monev. The design is absolutely Monev. He actually has wind powers now, so calling him the Gale would be good, but they only call him Rolo. Anyway, this big guy hates Vash. We have a chase scene. We have a scene where we flash back. We will soon learn that they're flashbacks because they're playing with time here. This is a really good episode for playing with time because we see that the little kid from the start is like talking to his mom about being devoted to God and why kids would want to be sacrificed to God. And she talks about heaven and how that's good. And then we also see that the kid has run away from home a little later.
Yeah.
And then Vash says, oh, you shouldn't run away from home. I'll protect you no matter what. Anyway, here you go. Talk to your mom. Let's just jump back to what we will soon learn is the present. As Vash is on the run, we get some more hero shots of Wolfwood. We get some fun play with moving cloth. Moving cloth is really hard to do in CG, so this team is very proud of their work with moving cloth. And I'm proud of them too. They did good work. It's very hard to render on a TV budget. It's why all the characters in Clone Wars wear gauntlets. It's why all of them wear gauntlets. No one wanted to do sleeves flapping.
Oh God, I can imagine. That would be a challenge.
Like you've literally got two guys with flowy robes swinging their arms for 15 minutes an episode. Oh, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You're working to tight budgets. You're an overworked Indonesian animator. You can't figure this out. No, sorry, Bob. Anyway, They are very
Dave
proud.
Filoni comes charging into the room, whipping them with a friggin'.
Well, he has a whip. He has the hat.
Yeah,
he has the whip. Like, if he's got the Indiana Jones hat, he's got the whip.
You're taking the cosplay too far, Dave. Come on.
Yeah. Also, like, the whole leather jacket in Indonesia, that's very humid. It's not good for you.
Yeah. It's going to be uncomfortable.
Anyway, Vash does something clever and drops a bunch of heavy objects on this large man who is a child. He's a child.
Mm-hmm.
This is a child. He is doing violence on a child who has been abused and confused. And anyway, we see that he is knocked down, and then we see some blue goo from his chest just evacuate into him, and he gets back up. And we flash back again. We now realize that it's been a flashback the whole time. We see that Vash is explaining the backstory to Nick, and he is like, "Oh, you're really guilty that you couldn't help a kid out here." Yeah, I really am guilty that we can't. I couldn't help that kid out here. And then we cut to Rollo being handed over to a bunch of dudes with the weird cross logo on their suits, and he is just given a lot of mad science. He is just pumped full of mad science. We see some wind. We jump ahead. Rollo's using his wind powers. He's using the Gale to try to knock down Vash and Wolfwood. We've got Meryl and Bob finding a photo of Vash looking very young with a baby. It's labeled with 20 years ago. We get more fights. We get a lot of fighting. There's some great chase stuff. There's some great foot chase stuff. There's some good fight stuff. And
Vash was bashing all over the place.
Yeah. Vash just apologizes to Rollo. He's figured out this large man is Rollo. He's trying to talk him down. And you know what happens when a violent man is being talked down by Vash? Nick Wolfwood aces him in the head. That's what always happens. He laser beams him right in the head. Boom, headshot. And he calls it a mercy kill. I believe him. Given what we're going to get to next episode, no. He believes that that's a mercy.
That's it. And then the wind starts again.
Yeah, the wind, everyone's rolling away. The wind picks up, the lights turn on, and we see our characters traveling into darkness. I've met writers that use subtext. So how do you feel about this? How do you feel about new Monev?
Oh, man. So much better than the original.
Oh, like, God, yeah. Like sad abused child. Oh, and the face mask. The face mask is so good.
Yeah, with the skull, and it's just digital over top. Oh my God. That's so. I really enjoyed season 1. I really enjoyed the original show. They've upped it a notch. Like more,
they're learning. They're learning a lot from what they've done, and we're about to see them start to play with material from the manga, and that's really where where these guys start to have fun. Because we are talking about the next episode, Once Upon a Time in Hopeland, directed by Minoru Yamaoka, who directed episode 2 of this show. He worked on Kids on the Slope. He worked on Quintessential Quintuplets. Big pile of list of things he's done. I just picked 3. And we open on a weird dude from the last episode. Because we've got those weird dudes, the suits with the gas masks. This is an episode where we introduce many excellent hench guy fits. Excellent hench dude fits. I mean, for practicality reasons in CG, you want to have like one guy you can just kind of copy paste a lot, but they're good. They're good looks.
And allow me to be cynical for just a moment. Very toyetic.
Oh, very toyetic.
I mean, I can imagine the sounds Todd McFarlane was making when he was watching this show. They are not pleasant. They're rude. Actually, Todd, what are you doing? Stop it. No. Close the door. Todd
is on YouTube. Like, he does all the promo videos for a bunch of Todd McFarlane Toys lines. Like, you can watch him talk about Batman, because he's got the rights to Batman the Animated Series now. And he's like real hype about working on that. You can tell because how he plays with the toys. But no, like the way the goons move is very like, oh, those are the 9 points of articulation. This is not about saving money on rigging. This is about showing the rigging data to the molding guys at the toy factory. Copacetic. Copacetic toyetic. Ah!
Yes, high five.
High five. Anyway, this dude, this suit dude with the gas mask, he shoots up Nick. He's on the run and he shoots Nick up. And
messes him up pretty bad.
Nick is very shot up, and he has some blue goo. He consumes some blue goo, and he then shoots the guy. And then we get the opening credits. And then we get the opening. We are back in the news. The exposition radio is going. We're in the news van, and everyone is saying, all right, we are going to drop you off at a sand steamer station, and we, the characters who write the news, will go back to our office to write the news, having learned the news.
Which is responsible on their part.
Sensible business practices. Sensible business practices. Although Nick and Vash are not talking, because, of course, Nick headshotted an abused child.
And
Vash is like,
who
but
had become a giant kill monster, though. We have to.
Yeah, he was a giant kill monster. And Vash is like, I could have helped that giant kill monster. And Nick is like, no, giant kill monsters who are the result of mad science cannot be saved. I know this. I know this.
Oh, Nick.
Nick,
okay?
buddy. So they catch a ride on a sand steamer. Yeah, we're doing that bit. We're doing that bit.
Yeah.
Remember this bit?
We are.
We are doing this bit.
We are.
But Nick is here, which means we get a scene of everyone leaning on the railing, and it's like, so Nick, what do you want? I don't want to tell you. Oh, that's okay. But anyway, we get a little exposition scene. It's not on the radio, it's on the intercom, where they explain the route. They explain that this sand steamer will go from here to July City along this roundabout route. Please pay no attention to any other landmarks along the route. Those won't matter later.
We have a super powerful plant.
We also have the most super powerful plant. And what happens is as Nick and Vash are talking about who gets to decide who lives and dies and who's really mature about violence, who is being mature about violence here, a new cross guy shows up. And he drops some briefcases, and he's got submachine guns. He's got cross-shaped submachine guns in his briefcases, and he just shoots up the place. And Vash and this new guy get to do some equilibrium shit. And it looks great. Looks good.
And painful flashbacks.
Well, before that, we do get... instead of a cabbage guy, we get the laundry guy who is rolling across the top deck, which I don't think is allowed on a cruise ship because you'd be getting in the way of customers. And also on a sand steamer, you'd just be getting dust in the linens. That's bad.
It's filthy.
It's no good.
Dust.
Anyway,
Yes.
But because we have a linen delivery going across the ship, we get to see them animate cloth again. Well, they do a fancy escape from a bunch of floating bed sheets, and eventually Vash beats the hell out of this new cross guy, and then Nick recognizes Livio. Who's Livio? Let's have an extended flashback scene that switches styles. It
has title cards.
Well, okay.
Instead of audio dialogue.
So they switch to a 2D style. And it looks really cool. They play with it. They definitely are working with the texture fill in an artistic way, which I always like to see. I like to see people play with that option. Gankutsuo forever. But it also means that because there are no dialogue, they don't have to pay for actors who are the young versions of these two characters.
Aha!
They're working really hard on the 2D animation, but I'm like, you're doing this in title cards so you don't have to cast 2 more actors, aren't you? That's what you're doing here.
Budget's got to come from somewhere.
Look, I appreciate making it work. Anyway, yeah, we see the start of the backstory where Nick is an orphan, Livia is an orphan. They live in a minimum security orphanarium run by the Weird Cross organization from last episode. We see their Weird Cross on the bell tower, and they're happy little orphan kids. They get into trouble. They help each other out. They're friends. They're brothers.
They bond via parkour.
They bond with parkour. And then we cut to Bob and Meryl, who have decided that rather than go back to work, they are going to do one last undercover report. And they're going to have to catch that sand steamer to do it. And who do we see, Justin? Who do we see?
Oh, Scott, we see BDN's team. We see the BDN. What is his band called again?
The Bad Lads.
The Bad Lads. Oh my God, it's the Bad Lads, Scott. The neon everywhere. I was so happy.
And now they've got cool wind sail gear. Like they've got wind sail sand punk shit. And I'm like,
Oh, this is now one of my favorite Mad Max stories. I swear to God.
Oh, they're even more Mad Max than they were before. We jump back again into Flashback Zone, where we find out that Nick is also a child of blessing. Remember that phrase from last episode? And we are introduced to him being taken in by the gas mask guys with the crosses on their suits. And then we get what I will describe as the drunk sequence from Dumbo, the trippy sequence from the last episode of Evangelion, and a whole bunch of Canadian independent short animated films that are just always experimental on purpose. Canada, we spend money on short animation. Baby. The NFB is a fantastic institution for animation, but we find out because they did the flashback because they explained the mad science last episode, we're going to have a more impressionistic view of it. We're going to get inside Nick's head as he is being turned into a giant monster of mad science very quickly. Nick is 10 years old. Nick D. Wolfwood, the character we see before us, is like 12.
Oh, man.
This is kind of the manga.
He took to it.
Yeah, the manga makes this really clear that he's 12, but like I'm going to say, like, he is the mad science accelerated his aging in months from like 10-year-old child to full adult size in months. But like the connective tissue after that, the mad science montage is not that long. This guy, he's 12. He's not mature about life and death. He's immature and cynical about life and death.
Because he's a freaking queen. My God.
Yeah.
Makes things even more horrible. My pal Nick is just...
It also explains why he'd really want to headshot someone who'd been through the same process as him. Yes. Anyway, we get through the
degree of empathy there.
Interesting kind of empathy there. We get through the trippy scene, and we are back into CG animation, and we encounter 12-year-old Nicholas D. Wolfwood escaping from prison by consuming a bunch of blue goo and trying to jump out a window. And he gets telekinesis. And you know what? Here is the part where I miss the old score. Here's the part where I miss the old soundtrack. Because Legato Blue Summer shows up, and there's no discordant industrial techno. If at some point I may disappear, and you will find our YouTube with me recutting that scene to the original score, that might happen. You might see me do that. We might see the YouTube channel go down for that. But that's a thing that might happen. The other thing they do, but the new score has weird saxophone bits in it. Like they're like, oh yeah, no, this guy comes with Mid-Valley the Horn Freak. We have not seen the Horn Freak. You're just giving me the saxophone for no reason.
We've heard him, though, for some reason.
Yes, we've heard him. We've heard him, but not seen him. Anyway, Legato is like, all right, fine. You, Mr. Mad Science Project we made for knives, you're gonna police. You're gonna be our enforcer now. You're the best. You're the best Mad Science Project we ever had. You're gonna kill who we say. And by the way, your old pal Livio, he's here now. He volunteered for the exact same thing that happened to you because he loves you. I don't understand love, but I really like the idea of having him hostage so you do what we say. Also, we're going to do this to every other orphan you've ever met in case you don't do what we say. Also, he like telekinesis all his bones into breaking like twice. He does that a bunch.
When it's just really healing a guy fast makes hurting him a little worse, I think.
Yeah. Like stitching bones together like itches. It gives you fevers. It's bad. We cut to the present, and we are now in the middle of a 4-sided fight where we have Livio chasing Vash, Vash trying to scare away the cops, Nick trying to beat up Livio mercifully, and no one's happy. No one is happy. No. We just see chaos everywhere. I will comment that the cop fits, the weird turban that's also a beret, and the cape and the goggles, also good look. Legato shows up with Zazie. Legato uses telekinesis to ruin the engines of the sand steamer. And now the sand steamer is on a collision course with the Hopeland orphanage, which the convenient travel map has a picture of, so that everyone in the lounge can be like, oh, we're going to hit that orphanage. That one that they're showing us. Why are you doing that? And then, to make things crazier, just so much more fun, who storms the deck? The Bad Lads!
They're so gorgeous in this. Oh my god.
They've got these
action figures.
They've got these still suits covered in neon, like they're at Burning Man. They're great. And that's the episode. That's the episode, though. But we'll see you in a month. We'll see you next time.
Oh my god.
The stakes cannot be higher, and you have to come back. And how do you feel about this? How do you feel about meeting a whole new character?
That was, I mean, they just wove. It's basically Nick gets a little brother, and they're both just toddlers anyway, and it's all, it's so heartbreaking. Blue Summers, just the cat, as I call him, still.
Yeah.
Just a jerk. No, this is going very well. Like, as I said, like George said, it's like poetry. It rhymes. The story from one is the same as the story in the other, but it's being told differently. It's being played on different instruments at a different. See, the original one was jazz, but this is ska. So no, it's delightful. I am developing an affection for this, and we are now halfway through the season. Correct?
We are halfway through. I mean, we are getting a second 13-episode run, so we can call it a quarter way through if we want. But this is a notable milestone, and they are just clipping through it, but they're giving us a lot of good stuff the entire time.
I mean, they're front loading the whole knives thing. We didn't have any knives until
no knives until 16, really.
Yeah. Like the first show was like, oh, where are we going from here? Here's this guy, bit of an idiot, but he believes in love. Oh, he's a yin yang. He's a half, and the other half is bad. I do love the Jesus Christ. I want to call them horoscopes, but they're not. The star formations. There's a word for this, Scott.
The constellations in the end theme.
The constellations, yes. The little twins that you see in there. That's gorgeous.
All right, so next episode, you're going to get a whole new version of the Badlands gang. And your boy Brill. Your boy Brill.
Boy Brill.
Yeah. All right.
Giant hats and huge shoulder pads. Please, please.
Oh, if they do not honor the shoulder pads, why? They I will say, I think they're trying to, sci-fi up Legato's shoulder piece. Doesn't work. I think it just needs to be a skull on a spike. You can't just make a bunch of weird aluminum skull and spike shaped things. It's got to be a skull on a spike. You can't cheat that.
There's a little bit of minimalism from the original that I don't think would have been out of place.
All right, we will be back soon with 3 more episodes of Trigun Stampede. Until then, you can back us on Coffee. You can buy a crate of candy from Japan. You can also, you can find us on Facebook. We're on, that's some kind of Japanimation thing. We're on the Floundering X-Bird app as ITKJOST. I personally am trying not to use that site, but I'm on Bisky as FS_Scott or kind.social with the same name. Justin?
The bitter guy on both Bisky and the former Bird app. Hey, Bisky's great, man. Come on over. Someday I will get above 100 followers.
At some point we will, at a certain point the Bird app is just going to be done for me. We'll see how that goes. Again, updates as we go. Until next time, I want to thank you. Do the podcast things. Otherwise, I don't know. Live your life. Watch a cartoon.
Like and subscribe, folks.
Yes. Leave a rating or review wherever you find your podcasts.
Apple. Just on Apple. That's the only one that counts. I listen on Spotify, but you can't actually acknowledge that you've listened to it in any way.
Yeah. No. Oh, God. I should start adding polls to the Spotify just to spite you.
Do it. Do it.